Or here's a second option. If you want to get things moving and cruising, we are not going to draw a cut line because we know we're going to be cutting in between. I'll show you in a moment. We are going to be, so the second way to do it is we have our line here. So it's right on our cut line and we have it 1/4 of an inch away from our cut line. So this line here is right on top of our points. So that gives us a little, we're going to draw our line 1/4 of an inch away from those little spots there. Let me show you again. So we're going to go ahead and just flip that around, and then we're going to place our ruler right on top of the line that we just drew. This is 1/2 of an inch from here to here. So we have our purple, which is right on top of the sew line. We have our cut line, which is right on top of our line, our diagonal in the corners. Boom, boom, boom. And then we're going to draw our sew line just like so. So that we have a perfect 1/2 inch right between, and that is going to signify us that that is what we're going to be sewing on. Let's do that exact step again. So we're only going to be drawing the lines for our sew line. We have this completely lined up right on our diagonal. We have our sewing marker and we just drew our line. Let's go ahead and just flip that around. And let's keep marking, placing this right on top, and let's draw just like so. Now we're going to keep moving. So let's get all of these drawn on. These are going to be our sew lines. Now what we can do is, being Quilting Your Legacy professionals, let's leave this just like this. So we're going to go ahead and do our next line. Then we'll go back and we will draw the other opposite side. Okay, so we're going to do it just like that. Let's just move this going up. Let's get our next line drawn on. Bada bing. Boop. And again, look at that 45-degree angle is like right there also. We've got our line going all the way down. We just got to move that just a smidge. It's always better to triple look before you go ahead and draw on the line. So again, right in that corner there, right in that middle corner there, get that 1/4 of an inch. And then we're going to do that one more time. Then we're going to do the opposite side. Now that we have all of that lines drawn on, let's go ahead and flip this right around so that we can go the opposite direction. Here we go. And the next one. So you see what I'm doing here, right? So what's happening is we have two different lines now we're doing. Is we have this line here, which is right on top of our sew line. That is 1/2 of an inch. Then we have our line right here on top of those points. That's at our 1/4 of an inch. Then we go ahead and mark it. And I know that Creative Grids does make a 1/2 of an inch ruler. So that way you could just put that right on top. In fact, I know that I have one of those, but you could just put that right on top of this. And then you don't have to worry about using a big ruler like this. But we are working with what we have and we are just drawing our lines. And that's the benefit to having two different pens. You could even use a pencil if you wanted to. When we sit at our sewing station, it's just going to help us so that way we remember which line is which. Okay, we've got our purple. That's where we know we're going to be sewing it. We're sewing it. And then we've got our cut line. Now that we have this all set, let's go ahead and take it to the sewing station. Although before we do that, we're going to take our backing. So this is our opposite side to our half square triangle. So we're going to place this right on top of our fabric. Then we are going to pin it, and I'm going to be pinning it right in like here so that it's not near where I'm going to be stitching it. So we're going to place this right on top, and then let's go ahead and get out our pins so that we can pin it right on top as well. And then I will see you at the sewing station after we get everything pinned.